All right, a couple of safety considerations when we're talking about carrying a handgun after shoulder surgery. Number one, thou shalt not handle firearms while you're still on the pain medication. For about the first 4 or 5 days, you're likely going to be heavily medicated to mitigate the pain of that shoulder. After about the 5th or 6th day, that second week or so, you may start to titrate yourself off the pain meds. That'll be a good thing. When you start carrying, if you start experiencing more pain, then remember, before you take that pain pill, disarm, go ahead and secure that gun so you don't have any tragic occurrences. Consideration number 2 I'll throw at you is that for that first week or 2, there'll still be some swelling and nerve issues and stuff up in this limb. For the first couple of weeks, my surgery side hand and fingers were still a bit puffy and they lacked responsiveness. I could wiggle them a little bit and move them, but I wasn't using them for much. And there was even times where my mind played a trick on me and my hand was here, duh, because it's in a sling, but my brain thought that my hand or arm was over here somewhere. The reason this is a consideration is when we're doing our draw stroke, we must be dang sure that as we muzzle that gun up, that it is the muzzle, the gun to target line is well displaced from where this surgery side hand is immobilized. We don't want to shoot ourselves in the hand. This will be particularly important to consider if you're up close and personal fighting in the clinch or at contact distances. For example, normally we teach that you keep the meaty portion at the base of your thumb and the meaty portion at the knife edge of your hand, both somewhere in contact with your torso. The idea is so you do not stitch across your midsection. That will not work so well if we have an immobilized arm that can't move. We'll be very limited in how we orient that gun. You can orient square to the threat, but if we start to blade this way, you'll see where that becomes precarious. We definitely do not want to shoot ourselves in the hand because that will be no good. So the first challenge that I want to discuss is just getting dressed after your surgery. Now remember, we're waiting a couple of weeks before we start carrying out in public because you're likely going to be on pain meds at least that first week. So we're going to wait until after that. One of the challenges we're going to have is just getting the belt through the belt loops. What I found to be helpful was to lay the pants out on the bed and then with my good hand thread the belt through the belt loops before putting the pants on. That way I'm not trying to contort my good hand all the way around my body and end up missing belt loops and feeling silly. The other challenge we're going to have is getting our holster and our spare mag carrier on, especially for whatever's on that injured or surgery side. This arm is sore, potentially this is still numb from a nerve block, and you may or may not be able to use the digits of that surgery side hand just yet. Getting these things clipped in on the belt line when you can't see through your sling is a challenge. The hack that I came up to help mitigate this was to look for landmarks. These are things we do pre-surgery. Where do I normally or habitually put that mag carrier, especially focusing on where do I put those clips in relation to the belt loops. This is in similar fashion to when we're discussing initially how to just grip a handgun, and I recommend looking for landmarks so that you consistently get your hands in the same place every time. With this mindset, we're going to identify where do those clips go on the belt, and then before we even put the pants on, go ahead and affix your mag carrier. You may be able to do the holster in the similar fashion, but without the gun. We're not going to put the spare magazines in the carrier just yet because we don't want them to fall out. It's much easier to put them in once the carrier's on your belt than it is to try to put it all on at once. So that is life hack number 1. Now let's discuss putting a cover garment on and the techniques for drawing from concealment with one gimpy hand. Now, at risk of being overly in the weeds regarding how to get dressed once you've had shoulder surgery, initially your surgery side arm is just going to be hanging limp. So if you take your shirt, your cover garment, again, likely an oversized one so that it's easier to get on and off, put it on your surgery side arm first, and then work around to your good side sleeve. For that first couple of days especially, you're going to need help just buttoning your shirt up. It won't be until about the 2.5 week mark to where you can likely start to lift your surgery side arm up and then do little things like use that to wash your good side armpit. Now that I'm about 4.5 weeks out, I can easily button my shirt, but I can't do any heavy lifting or overhead stuff with the surgery side arm. And then taking your shirt off, it's typically easier, I've found, to start working that surgery side shoulder first, at least get it off the shoulder, and then you can just let it fall off as you take your non-surgery arm out of the shirt. So since that arm is going to be immobilized for at least the first 2 weeks, you shouldn't be taking it out of the sling for anything other than just to shower. You're not getting much blood flow, so you'll notice that around your tricep is going to be kind of puffy with fluid, your arm is going to be puffy, and your fingers will likely still be puffy and numb. You're not going to get much use out of them, nor should you, because you don't want to jack up any of the stitching on the insides. The reason this is pertinent to you is the method that I typically teach in my Methods of Concealed Carry course for a two-handed draw stroke is if you're carrying at the 3 o'clock or the 4:30 position, wherever that gun is located, you're going to use your strong side hand to initially grab that material of your cover garment and then vigorously uncover, and then you're going to trap that material with your support hand. What this does is make sure that all that material is out of the way, so once the gun comes out, you have an uninhibited draw stroke, because I don't want your rear sight to snag on your cover garment and then foul up your draw stroke. Yes, I understand that this takes about a half second longer to get that draw stroke complete. However, it takes much longer for you to unfoul a fouled up draw stroke when your cover garment is all mucked up in the mix. Therefore, that's why I teach grab and trap. If we're using the appendix carry, then there's no need to uncover with your strong hand and trap with your support hand, because your support hand typically can reach down, grab that material, pull it up, so the grab and the trap are accomplished with your support hand. The reason that is germane to this topic right here is because when we have one arm in a sling, it's not going to be effective for that grab of the material. Even if we're carrying an appendix carry, we're going to grab that material, get it up out of the way, and the best we can hope for likely in that first couple of weeks is to get this hand out of the way, because these digits aren't accomplishing much for us, and we're going to hook that material. If you have a velcroed little physical therapy ball that's on your brace, then you can take and hook it on that ball and then just flop that support hand so it generally traps that material, and then you can get the gun out for that draw stroke. If you don't have a physical therapy ball on your harness, then you need to figure out what can you grab, trap, and hook that somewhere so that as you flop this hand over, you reliably trap that material to keep it out of the way so it does not foul up the draw stroke. The other consideration we must have here for safety is to ensure that when we draw that gun out, we are not muzzling that numb appendage here. We don't want to blow our fingers and knuckles off of the support hand. So make sure that you torque your body a little bit so that you get a good clearance of your muzzle away from that support hand. Also keep in mind that if you're carrying appendix inside the waistband, that you may have difficulty seeing through all that material and around your brace, to ensure that as you reholster that there's no body parts, material, clothing, or any other foreign object that's going to activate that trigger as you reholster. So be very mindful of that as well. Once you're about 4.5 weeks post-surgery, you'll likely be able to dress yourself more easily. Here I'm going to take and button up this tuck-in shirt, and then I'm going to have inside the waistband but tucked in, and show you the drawstroke and considerations there. As far as tucking in the garment, that is still going to be a bit tender, likely around your 4 or 4.5 week mark, depending on how much stretching and stuff you've been doing at that point. All right, so now I'm dressed a little bit more what we refer to as Central Texas casual. I'm wearing my appendix inside the waistband holster, but it's tucked in with a button-up style shirt. Not much is going to change from what we just described with a more oversized shirt. At this point, if you're able to wear a button-up collared shirt and tuck it in, you likely have a little bit more utility with your surgery side hand and fingers. So we're going to do that grab and trap technique that I teach. We're going to trap it here and either grasp it with these fingers, or again, just kind of trap it between these fingers and hand and the material of your sling. Everything else is going to be pretty standard for a one-handed shooting technique. If you found this content to be helpful in your journey towards shoulder surgery and post-recovery carry, then go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, leave a comment down below if you desire. Hit that watch later or add it to your playlist so you can bookmark and find this easier for you to review it over and over again. And if there's somebody else in your life who's about to go under the shoulder knife, go ahead and hit that share button and send it to them so they can take a look as well. Until next time, God bless and stay safe.